After 2 years of devastating war in Gaza, delegations from Israel and Hamas have arrived in Egypt for fresh indirect negotiations. The talks, held under the mediation of Cairo and the framework of US President Donald Trump's peace plan, have already drawn global attention. An Egyptian state-linked outlet, Al Qahira News, reported that the first round concluded Monday in a positive atmosphere. Talks will continue in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, where the Israeli delegation arrived on Monday evening. The negotiations are backed by an American push to end the conflict. US Special Envoy for the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, alongside Trump's senior advisor and son-in-law Jared Kushner, are both expected in Egypt with a mandate to move quickly toward a settlement. President Trump himself remains deeply involved. Speaking in Washington on Monday, he sounded cautiously optimistic. Donald Trump: "No, I have red lines. If certain things aren't met, we're not going to do it. But I think we're doing very well, and I think Hamas has agreed to things that are very important." Those words underscored both the urgency and the limits of the negotiations. The two-year conflict has left tens of thousands dead and Gaza in ruins. During the October 7th attack 2 years earlier, Hamas fighters kidnapped 251 people. According to Israeli authorities, 47 hostages remain in captivity and at least 25 are presumed dead. For families on both sides, the issue of prisoners and hostages is at the heart of these talks. The Trump plan proposes a massive exchange. Israel would release 250 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences and over 1,700 detainees captured during the war in return for the remaining hostages. The International Committee of the Red Cross has declared its readiness to help, pledging to facilitate the reunification of families once an agreement is reached. Footage from the past year shows freed prisoners embracing their relatives in Al-Bireh, Palestinians celebrating in Baitunia, and tearful reunions of Israeli families with loved ones previously held in Gaza. Red Cross convoys have crossed the Rafah border, carrying newly released hostages back to safety. Such scenes remain a powerful reminder of what's at stake in these negotiations. The Trump plan goes further than just prisoner exchanges. It stipulates that Hamas must disarm and withdraw from Gaza's governance. A transitional administration led by technocrats and overseen by the US president himself would manage the territory's affairs. But Hamas has so far insisted on playing a role in the future administration of Gaza, a stance that remains one of the thorniest points on the table. For Israel, the withdrawal of its forces from Gaza will depend on these conditions being met. For Hamas, relinquishing arms and political influence could mean surrendering much of the power it has held for years. In Washington, US officials argue that the plan is the most realistic path to ending the bloodshed. Steve Witkoff, the US envoy, told reporters that his mission is to help both sides see that the alternatives to peace are far worse. Egyptian mediators, long accustomed to bridging disputes between Israelis and Palestinians, stress that the talks are fragile and could collapse if either party pushes too hard or too fast. For millions of civilians in Gaza, the stakes could not be higher. After years of bombardment, shortages and displacement, the prospect of peace still feels distant, yet this round of talks has rekindled a glimmer of hope. Archival images from 2023 show towers in Gaza collapsing under Israeli airstrikes. The destruction of entire neighborhoods and the mass displacement that followed remain etched in the region's collective memory. Today, as delegates meet in Cairo's stately halls and in Sharm el-Sheikh's resort hotels, those memories loom large, reminding negotiators of the human cost of failure. President Trump's public remarks reflect his confidence that Hamas is ready to make significant concessions. Yet diplomats caution that optimism must be tempered by the complexities of mistrust built over decades. Analysts point out that even if a deal is struck, implementing it, disarming militias, overseeing withdrawals, arranging prisoner exchanges and setting up a transitional authority will require unprecedented coordination and good faith from all parties. As talks resume in Sharm el-Sheikh, negotiators face a narrow window to agree on a framework before momentum is lost. Each side's willingness to compromise on security, governance and justice for victims will determine whether these talks mark a turning point or just another missed opportunity. In the words of one Egyptian mediator, "Every day the war continues, another generation loses hope." The lions of Qasr el-Nil remain silent, watching the traffic and the Nile's flow. In hotel conference rooms along the river and on the Red Sea coast, leaders wrestle with decisions that could end a war or prolong it. The world now waits to see whether the Trump-brokered initiative will bring an end to years of violence or become yet another chapter in a long history of failed peace efforts. This is not just another diplomatic summit. For the families of the hostages, for the prisoners awaiting release, for the civilians in Gaza and the Israeli border towns, these talks could shape the course of their lives for decades to come.